Hello everyone, today I'm going to be talking about my latest design, Lair of the Night Mare. So this is an in-hand fantasy card crawler. I'm trying to capture the essence of a small RPG, especially the combat element where you roll a die, you're trying to collect loot. The game I was most inspired by was Classic Korg. It's a really small RPG adventure on a couple cards. You need a d6 and then a pencil to track some stats. And in that game, you're trying to either collect gold to retire or complete a quest. So with this in-hand design, meaning that you don't need paper to track anything, I'm trying to capture some essence of that. So this is a pretty light game. There is no descriptions or titles on any of the cards because I wanted to let that narrative and your imagination determine what you call these characters and those interactions you have with them. So in the video, I'm going to talk a little bit about the keywords, the cards, and then obviously how to play. Everything you see could change. I don't know. I'm still testing out the balance. I'd love your feedback. Do you expect these kind of games to be slant to be a little harder, a little bit easier? And so just think about that when you go over this video. Additionally, keep in mind, this game has 24 cards. This is the baseline game, and I hope to make more cards that you can either add onto the deck for longer adventures or mix and match if you want it to be easier or harder, and just to have new interactions. So with that said, let me tell you the premise. So the premise of this game is within the dream world, you discover this mysterious domain. And what you discover is any loot you claim in this place manifests in the waking world. That's good news. But if you die here, you may never wake. So with that in mind, right, it's kind of like a small dungeon crawler where you're going to be encountering creatures and then trying to claim their loot. Currently, for this design, the object of the game is to collect as much loot as you can before you leave. That may change, but right now that's how it works. And I'll show you exactly how and when you decide to leave and end the game. So let's now look at the cards. So all the cards have a creature on the front and then their loot on the back. It does have one mini boss and one boss. Otherwise, all the other creatures are these creatures you see here that have a top half and a bottom half. So the top half is going to be the passive side, indicated by this icon, just the white and just the coloring. This is their defense, the creature's defense. And then this dice roll is going to be what you use to see if you can equal or exceed that defense and hit the creature. If you hit a creature, you defeat it, you get its loot. If you miss, then you're going to be rotating the card to its aggressive side. So passive side, the aggressive side still has the same defense. Usually because it's aggressive, it's got a slightly better roll. And then if you miss here and fail to match its defense with your attack, then you lose the game. Every creature also has some ability that usually augments or changes its defense in some way depending on a certain condition. So that's the front side. And then the back side also has two orientations, and this loot symbol, this is the loot. This is when it's ready, and then when you use its ability or boost another die, which we'll talk more specifically what that is with keywords, you're going to exhaust it, and now it's in its exhausted state. Some abilities might allow you to ready it. You would just simply rotate it again, and now it's ready to be used again. All right, so with that said, let's talk a little bit about keywords and icons. So you're going to see some keywords. I'll show you some examples where they're bolded and capitalized. There's two types of keywords. Keywords that don't have a colon after them are actions, like ready a loot, exhaust a loot, boost a roll, etc. These are going to be actions that you can take. And then keywords with a colon are usually a condition has been met. You hit the creature, you miss, You have a strong hit. We'll talk about what that is. A weak hit. The creature is near or far. So these are like a certain condition was met. So you'll see those keywords. And then icons will usually refer to an attribute somewhere on specific types of cards. So like if you roll a red die, this has +2. What's some other ones? This has that keyword weak hit, exhaust this loot. So this creature's loot. Let's talk about weak hit real quick and strong hit. So the definition of a hit is like, for example, this has 5 defense. So when I do a roll, if I roll a 5 or higher, I've hit this creature. Now, if I roll a 6, that goes higher than what a weak hit would be, which is a 5. So if your attack, and an attack is a definition of the roll plus any modifiers you add to it. If your attack is equal to, or the roll, if you want to just call it the roll, if the roll is equal to the defense, then it's a weak hit. Conversely, a strong hit is if the roll is 3 or more higher than the defense. So in this case, I'd have to roll an 8 for it to be a strong hit. And some of the abilities rely on strong hits or interact with strong hits. So that's what weak hit is. And then you see it has an action here, exhaust this. So basically, if I got a 5, when I flip this over, normally it would start ready. I'd have to immediately exhaust it if I rolled a 5. If I rolled a 6 or higher, then it would go ready like it normally does. Let me show you another keyword. This is the boss. So they've got a keyword called far. I'm going to try and explain it now a little bit. I think it will make more sense once we get into the game. But basically how it works, how you're going to be attacking, is this is the creature that you're going to be attacking. So for this encounter, I'm up against this creature. And then to attack, you're basically going to cut the deck and then look at that roll right there. So I rolled a 4 to its 5. There are ways I could modify that roll using loot to get up to that 5. But let's say that I didn't, so I would rotate this. So I failed, right? I missed. So now that passive creature is angry and aggressive. If I fail again, we encounter it again and I fail a second time, I lose the game if they're aggressive. Now he's going to attack me, all right? So here's where the whole point I was showing this was near versus far. So how the game's going to work is after you resolve combat, you're going to move the top half of the deck to the bottom, and the card you just used for the roll aspect is now the creature you encounter. If what's going to start happening, though, is as you start claiming loot, if loot is on the top, then that means what you're going to do is you're going to move and cycle. It's called cycling the loot to the bottom of the deck. If you do that, that means that the creature wasn't right there on top. It wasn't near. You had to cycle cards to get to it, so it's considered far. So this is an example. This one has a far, which means like if I had loot on top, I would exhaust one of those that were cycled to the bottom, which isn't good. The other side is, so when I do this, this is what they all start out as. Okay, I attack that. They're considered near if there was no loot on top and I just immediately encounter the next monster or creature. So what this means is at the beginning part of the game, pretty much all your encounters, the creatures are near. As you start getting more and more loot, and you're going to have to cycle that loot to the back to find the next creature, more creatures are going to be far. So near is more relevant in the earlier parts, far is more relevant later as you start getting loot. That only matters if they have that ability, near or far. Otherwise, you can just ignore it. Like this one's really interesting. So generally, right, you want like the highest roll you can get. This creature you only need 1. So, every die has at least a 1. So you're going to knock it out. But it has strong hit. So if 1 plus 3 is 4, if you roll a 4, 5, or 6, you actually miss. So you actually want like a 1, 2, or 3 in this case. So that creature's kind of interesting. So yeah, there's a lot of interactions. Something else I didn't mention. Let's look at some of the loot. you're going to see some additional icons, attributes on them. So not only do they have the state of whether they're ready or exhausted, some have like coin, this one's like luck, this mysterious puzzle piece. There are cards that have interactions. For example, this creature has +1 if coins are in the deck, and then you get to ready one. So if you had exhausted one using its ability, granted, it went from 5 to 6 defense, but you also kind of get an upside with that. So this creature, it's good and bad if you have coins in your deck. So yeah, that's interesting. Something else I was going to bring up, maybe I'll wait until we get there. Oh yeah, that's what I want to bring up. So last thing, and then we'll get right into the game. You've got all this loot. What you're going to notice is, oh yeah, and there's also, this is another keyword, roll. So by default, when you cut the deck, you're rolling just that top. So it's the top card on the bottom half. That's your roll. If it says roll 2, you're simply going to also reference the card behind it. So like that one, that treasure we had said roll 2, take the higher. So I would take the 4 in this case. But if that was a 6 and that was a 4, I'd obviously want to take the 6, depending on the creature I'm up against. Okay. But there are 2 ways you can use loot. You can exhaust a loot to use its ability, like give a white die +3, or let's say you have a red die and you roll a 3 and the creature has a defense of 4. Well, that would be useless here, except you can also exhaust any loot to boost your current roll by +1. So all loot is valuable in that sense and useful, regardless of what its ability is, because you can exhaust it just to give your die a boost. Or, you wait for it to find a white one and you can give it +3 instead. So maybe you would exhaust one of your other ones if you needed to boost that, if you have multiple available and ready. All right, I think that kind of gives you a gist of the keywords and icons and how they work. So let's go right into setup and start playing the game. So for setup, you're going to make sure that all the cards are creature side up and that all the creatures are set to their passive side. The boss only has one side. It doesn't have aggressive. So yeah, we're good there. Then you're going to give it a good shuffle up the deck. And then you're going to cut the deck once, put the top half under the bottom half, and you're ready to go. So this is going to be our first creature. All right, so turn sequence is pretty straightforward. There are 3 steps to every turn. Step 1 and 3 are pretty quick. Step 2 is going to be the bulk of it, the encounter step. So step 1, currently you decide when you end the game, unless you die. Then you lose the game. If you miss against an aggressive creature, you lose. Otherwise, the first step is called wake or wander. You're going to decide whether you wake up and take all your claim loot, and then that's going to be your final score, is you're going to count up all your loot in the deck, right? All these symbols that you see, obviously, when the decks face up. Or you're going to wander and you're going to say, you know what? I'm going to encounter that creature. So obviously, unless I have loot on top of the deck, I'm going to know what creature I have. But to a point of that, a question that's going to come up is, are you allowed to look at the deck? Well, of course, because after you attack, you're going to be looking at your loot to see, okay, I need to boost that some way. So you're going to know, what creatures, where they're at, where your loot's at, except when you're cutting the deck. Remember, this is a solo game, so you're only cheating yourself if you're trying to, hold the deck like this and count off and peek at what you're going to roll. The intent is when you cut the deck, have it kind of flat, have everything flush, nothing sticking out, and then you're just going to make that cut, and boom. Ooh, wow, that was a good roll. I rolled a 6 there. Okay, so that's the intent, but otherwise you can look at the deck and see how much loot you have. In fact, you need to count it for the final boss. What status is all your cards, because that may determine whether, I'm going to wake up, or no, I'm going to wander and keep pushing my luck. Do I have enough loot that if I get a really bad roll, I'd be able to recover and get out of it and not lose to, if this was aggressive, ooh, that's a roll of 5. Do I have enough loot that could bail me out on a bad roll? Or I'm not going to risk it. And I'll probably have like a scoring table tied to how much loot you escape with. Obviously, the max score right now would be 24 because there's 24 cards. All right. So yeah, that's step one, wake or wander. You decide. Obviously, for this demo, I'm going to kind of gloss over that step because I'm going to be wandering to show you all the cards. But that you are supposed to do at the beginning of every turn. Second step, this is the bulk of the turn, is encounter. So you're going to look at the creature. Now, if there is a creature already on top of the deck, that creature, you're going to determine proximity, is what I call it. Are they near or are they far? If they don't have an ability that deals with being near or far, you can just skip over this step. If they do, what you're going to do is you're going to look, and this one has far. Again, as I mentioned already, if they're already on top of the deck, they're considered near, which is pretty much going to be all of the creatures in the beginning part of the game because you don't have any loot. If there is loot or something that is not something you can interact with for the encounter, like a creature, then you're going to cycle those cards to the bottom, and then that creature is considered far. They were far away. You had to cycle some cards to get to them. Okay, so this one's far. This was not, this one triggers off of being far. It was not far, it was near. It's literally already on top of the deck. All right, after you determine proximity, if that matters, then now you're going to attack. To attack, you're simply going to cut the deck. So take that. Now, one key word I didn't mention, it's not mentioned a lot other than one mini boss, is mishap. So a mishap is if you roll, imagine like a natural one or something, but basically if you try and cut the deck and game the system and either half has 6 or less or fewer cards in it, it's called a mishap. You automatically miss the creature and you have to exhaust 1 loot as penalty. So you can't just game it and like, okay, I'm going to pick the next card or I'm going to pick the last card that I just cycled, right? You want it to be as random as possible. It's a solo game. But if you do that, it's considered a mishap. And one of the bosses, if you mishap on it, you lose the game outright. Otherwise, it's just that penalty normally. So we did cut, and wow, again, we got that same. That's funny. I'm good at cutting around that. So I rolled a 6 to the 5, and so we get our first loot. Oh, that was bad. So I'm trying to show it off. So our loot is we get to cycle an aggressive creature if we want. So we would move that creature to the back. And this has a puzzle piece. There are some interactions with the mysterious type loot. All right, so we do have 1 loot. Awesome. All right, here's where we don't want too high of a roll here. So it says strong hit, your attack misses instead. So we're hoping we don't get a 4, 5, or 6. Because boost only work to increase your die. There are some loot that will like flip a die, but we don't have that yet. So here we go. Let's cut right there. Ooh, 5. That's actually a strong hit. Normally that would be good. So I have no way to counter that, so that's not good. So, all right. They're aggressive now. Let's hope we don't encounter them again and get a high roll. All right. This creature now has far rotate this, which would be bad because then it would already be aggressive, but thankfully it was near. So we need to roll a 3 or better here. And we do have 1 piece of loot that I could use. Ready? Let's cut. Let's cut right here. A 1. Shoot. What was our... I think our 1 piece of loot just cycled something, so it doesn't even boost anything. All right, we're getting some bad rolls. Okay, so I can't even boost. So now, all right. This has -1 for each like puzzle piece or mysterious loot in the deck, which we do have 1. So this is actually a 5. That's not bad. And you can always look, but I already know because I only have 1 loot. So let's find it, by the way. Where is it? There she is. Okay. All right. So here we go. Let's attack. And we got a 4, and it's 5. You know what? I'm going to boost that 4 to a 5, right? It's we're looking at 5 because we had the one puzzle piece. So I'm actually going to find that loot, and I'm going to exhaust it to boost my die by 1. So I'm not using its ability. I'm exhausting it to boost that to a 5. So we match. Oh, and there you go. We could ready that if we wanted it now. So this says it's a piece itself, mysterious loot itself, and it will ready 1. It could ready itself, which would be silly. Wait, it readies itself to then ready. Yeah, so you would ready one of the other ones. So we could ready that other item, and there's more mysterious loot there. Sweet. If the next card is aggressive creature, this has +2. Okay, thankfully that's not the like slime ooze thing we saw. So this is just a 4, just has 4 defense. Okay, let's see what we cut. Oh, we got the treasure, or the loot roll. So we got a 5. And we defeat it. Give a red die +3. That's a pretty good one. We don't have a lot. That's usually, that means that they're aggressive, and then you're going to fight them next encounter or battle them. But okay, so here you go. So we have loot on top, which means that when we cycle this, the next creature that we encounter is considered far, not near. Ooh, and this is a near. So thankfully or not thankfully, this does not trigger. You may give this +2 to ready a loot. So this is kind of a risk versus reward. I could buff it right now without attacking yet, and I could ready one of my loot, but then I have to roll a 4 or higher. But that's a near a trigger, so this is just a 2. So let's see what we get. Ooh, we got a 6. Man, we're getting some good rolls. Okay. All right, and now give a white die +3. That might be relevant because we have a lot of white dice right now because it's pretty early in the game. So I'm going to rotate that back. If the next card has higher defense, swap. Ooh, okay, it does not. All right, that's always a little scary. All right, so now I need a 4 or higher. Let's cut a little deeper this time. Ooh, a 1. You know what? I'm going to use this to give this a +3. So now this 1 becomes a 4. And I got this. If the die value on the card next to your roll is higher, you can swap them. So like if I wanted to, I could have swapped that with the 4, and that effectively would have worked as well. So that's actually a pretty good loot. All right. So strong hit, I can ready the loot, which I think I've used at least one to boost. So this would be nice. So a strong hit, I need to roll a 6 here though to get that strong hit. All right. Oh, that's funny. I literally just got that, and I beat it. Nice. I did not get the strong hit. All right, here's a coin loot. Flip a white die value. So I could flip like a 1 to a 6, a 2 to a 5, 3 to 4, and vice versa if I wanted. Okay, starting to get some good loot. All right, so this one's interesting. This one, I like this card a lot because it kind of tells a story. This is one of the few where the top and bottom look a little different. So what this says is it only has 2. So you can claim this loot as normal, or we could rotate this to ready another loot. So either it will reward me by saying, hey, I'll refresh and ready one of your other loot, or just claim what I have. And then I don't even have to deal with the aggressive side. So let's see what we roll though first. Ooh, we rolled a 5. Let's just claim the loot. Oh, this seems useless. It's a mysterious item. It's also a coin, I guess, but it has no ability and its roll is 1. So maybe that was or was not a good choice because now we got a 1 there. Okay. All right. So now we're going to cycle this. Ooh, if I roll a white die, this is kind of relevant early. This has +1. Okay. Let's see what we roll. Ooh, we rolled a red die, and it's a 6. So we defeat this. We're actually getting really good rolls. Ooh, and this is a strong one. This changed the color of the rolled die. So a lot of the loot may interact with a specific color. You could change it to that color to then combo with another loot ability. So that's actually really good. But now we're up against this guy. So we got a lot of loot. I'm feeling confident that we'll be able to beat this creature. And wait, it was near. Oh, so rotate this. Okay. That actually made it less scary. All right. That actually worked out for us. And we got a 4. Ignore all near and far abilities this turn for this combat. So that's awesome. Okay, so that's a pretty nice item. We're actually getting really good rolls here. And this is where I'm going to be testing the game, because if it seems a little too easy or too often you're getting too many good rolls, then I'll start making it so maybe some of the starting rolls, the white rolls, are a little bit harder, easier, etc. So definitely something I hope to get your guys' feedback on at some point. All right, let's play a couple more, and then I'll pause there, and we'll talk about the game closing thoughts and comments. All right, hit. If your roll is not a gold die, exhaust this treasure so I don't get it, or this loot. Okay, this guy likes 4. Did we get... Hold on. Oh, we did get it, but I had a mishap, so I miss anyway. Shoot. I have to exhaust. That was stupid. Okay, so that was a mishap. What one do I want to... I have to exhaust as one as a penalty. Well, let me keep where we're at. Okay. So that was dumb. Let's exhaust this. Got greedy. Knew I had some golds there. Okay. So I had a mishap. Cycle these. Ooh, here's a big boy. If the next card is loot, this has +2. Is it loot? No, it's the boss. Okay. So I need to roll a 6. Come on. I rolled a 3. And that's a mini boss. Let's see. Do I have any loot that... I don't know if I really want to spend exhaust 3 loot just to buff it all the way from a 3 to a 4 to a 5 to a 6. Oh, what's the next? Ooh. If the die value on the card next to your roll is higher, swap them. Ooh, let's do that. So I'm going to swap these. And I'm going to beat that. Ooh, this is one of the best loot in the game. If you would lose the game, prevent it, but you flip this back to the aggressive side, and you must wander next turn. I may change this to then you must battle this next turn or something. But yeah, that's this is a good one. Okay. So, ooh, this is near. You cannot boost this combat. So I'm going to have to use abilities if I roll like a 1 or 2 here. Okay. And I rolled a 1. So I can't just boost it twice to a 3. I think I have a loot that I can flip that to a 6. Oh, or I could do that. Do I want to do the boost to 3 or the flip? Let's flip a white. Did I already use that? Thought I had... Oh, I must have got the flip the white, not the... Oh, yeah, this is the card that has it. Okay, so I guess I'm going to have to use that. So you're going to have a lot of loot in the beginning, so you're going to get a lot of successful loot. But then once you start using all your loot up for boosts and stuff, there's going to come a point where you're like, okay, I don't have a lot of like fallback if I get a low roll. And I'm thinking I might have the rolls on average a little too high, so I might adjust that. But let's see if we can beat this guy. This one's a little scary because boosts don't help me. And I don't have a flip for the gold dice. So let's see what we get. Don't misfire. Okay. Oh no, we got a 6. Shoot. Did we just lose to a stupid, maybe I should have, we were going so good. All right, do I have anything? Boost intentionally only goes up. And this is why maybe I should have. Flip a white die. Ooh. Oh, I can survive. Okay, so I can flip a white die, but this isn't white. But I don't think I've used it yet. I hope I haven't. I have... Hold on, where is it? I've got one. Yeah. Change the color of the rolled die. Okay. So I'm going to change that to a white. Use that one. Flip this surprisingly from a 6, which is normally good, to a 1 to defeat this. Oh, let's go. So it's ready. So this is the one I was thinking of before, where we can flip a red one, which would have been nice. Oh, this is near, and we were far because we had to cycle 2. But yeah, so that's how you play the game. So what I'm going to be looking for, I'm going to be releasing this October 1st, entering it into the design contest. I'm going to be tweaking numbers and maybe some art and abilities between now and then. What I'm going to be looking for from anybody who tries it out is it too easy? Is it too hard? Are there some interesting abilities that I didn't even consider or think of? We didn't even encounter all of the creatures, by the way. There's the mini boss, which maybe I'll go over. So yeah, I'm really interested to see what you guys think just based on initial thoughts without you playing it. How do you think about this, the system? Because it can always be tweaked. We can add new cards, new abilities. I can adjust the starting dice rolls to be a little bit weaker, so it's a little tougher to get loot initially. Do you like having, where you could potentially lose very early? Or do you kind of like the progression where you go from passive to aggressive, and then you only lose on aggressive if you encounter it again? So yeah, let me know what you think about the initial design, and I'm looking forward to everybody to try it here October 1st. All right, thanks.